I didn't want to film this video right now. I wanted to film this yesterday, but I didn't get the chance to. I wanted to have this script read over, but I guess someone needs to talk about this. That shit needs to be said. I will probably have this video, like, looked over by one of my friends after I edit it, but it doesn't matter if you've seen Trisha's video. The information I want to share with you is still astoundingly important. And it's important to me, and it's important to people I love and care about. Trisha Paytas uploaded a video recently called Meet My Alters, Dissociative Identity Disorder. Dissociative Identity Disorder used to be called multiple personality disorder until psychologists and doctors, people who have medical degrees in their field and know what they're talking about, researched the disorder and learned more about it and realized it's not a personality disorder, it's a dissociative disorder. To my knowledge, dissociative disorders are all trauma caused. I know D.I.D, Dissociative Identity Disorder, PTSD, CPTSD, and OSDD are all dissociative disorders, and they're all caused by trauma to some extent. Dissociative Identity Disorder, D.I.D, is what happens when a young child experiences repeated extreme trauma. Because when you're very, very young, when you're like a baby and a toddler, like a young child, you don't have one fully coalesced personality. You have different personality states. Like, this is the personality state for when a baby is hungry, and this is for when they want this caregiver, and this is for when they're sad or when they're happy. They're separated off. They haven't fully, like, combined into one, like, fluid personality. That's why really young babies can go from being super, super happy to super, super sad, or vice versa, really quickly, because they're separated off. So it can just jump from like one extreme to another extreme. So when a young child experiences trauma before the brain can fully coalesce its personality states into one personality, before it can fully integrate, if it experiences enough extreme repeated childhood trauma, in order to protect itself and survive, it'll put up amnesic walls between these personality states. This creates alters, which is the word for the different personality traits. They are each an alter. The amnesic walls block memory sharing, so one alter will remember the traumatic memories, or this specific traumatic memory, and this alter may remember this other specific traumatic memory, and the other alters who don't have those memories, who don't hold them, they won't know that happened. They'll have amnesia during those events, even if it happened to the body, because they're all part of one brain in one body. The point of this is for the body and for the brain to be able to survive and live daily life without flashbacks and the daily struggles of PTSD or CPTSD. The other alters can still have PTSD and can still hold traumatic memories, but as a child, that is how the brain copes with severe trauma. It's a survival mechanism, it's a defense mechanism. It's made to survive through extreme childhood trauma or abuse. It's not something people ask for. It's not a stupid movie plot. This is real life. This happens to real life children and happened to real life people because humans aren't made to deal with trauma. We're legitimately not made to deal with trauma. That's why PTSD happens, which is from one specific traumatic event. CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is from repeated traumatic events. D.I.D. is from repeated extreme childhood trauma. OSDD is also from repeated childhood trauma. Humans aren't made to deal with this shit. So the brain is trying to cope the best it can. That's what happens. That's what causes dissociative disorders. It's not a joke. It's not trendy. It's not funny. It's not a choice. It's not different personality traits of one person. That person isn't becoming another person. They're completely different people, different alters in one body. It's not something to make fun of. It's not something. It is a disorder. Dissociative identity disorder is a disorder. In Trisha's video, she said she didn't believe it was a disorder. It doesn't matter what you believe. People who have medical degrees in their field and study this, it is a disorder. D.I.D. The last D stands for disorder. Last night I recorded my first impression reactions to both of Trisha's videos that she's uploaded. But I wanted to get a video out because I need you guys to know about this. People with D.I.D. don't ask for D.I.D. They didn't choose this. There's a lot more information that I could give you that I'm not right now, but if you only take one thing away from this video, I want you to take away the fact that dissociative identity disorder is real. It's not scary. It's scary for the people who have it because that's trauma. They had to have gone through trauma to get that, and they have flashbacks. Like, that's scary. In the same way that having PTSD or CPTSD is scary, but it doesn't make the people scary. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them murderers like in Split. It's not something to be afraid of, it's something to be educated on. Because there's so much stigma around this that is extremely unnecessary. People with D.I.D. aren't going to hurt you. They have D.I.D. because they got hurt as children. Shit that no one should go through, let alone a child. It doesn't make sense to me how someone can call someone crazy or mock people and feel good about themselves. It doesn't make sense to me. Especially mocking people who were hurt as children. What good do you get out of that? No one should have to go through the shit people have to go through to get any dissociative disorder, to get any trauma-caused disorder. No one should have to go through trauma. No one should have to go through trauma. And yet we do, and the world moves on as if that's okay. I want to say that it doesn't matter what you went through. If it hurt you, it hurt you. It was enough to hurt you. It doesn't matter if it wouldn't have hurt someone else the way it's hurting you. That does not matter. You were you, and it hurt you, and that means it's enough. It's enough to affect you the way it's affecting you because it's affecting you like that. If it can do a thing, then it's enough to do that thing. If someone says, I can't jump on a block, and I jump on a block, then that means I'm enough to jump on that block. You can't say, oh no, you're not enough to jump on that block when I'm already standing on the block. I'm on the block. I jumped here. Clearly I am enough to jump on this block. it is enough to affect you the way it affects you because it's affecting you like that. As someone who struggles with trauma and flashbacks and feelings of invalidity, it is enough. You suffered enough. You are valid. You are not weak. I don't have D.I.D. And I don't have D.I.D. and I don't want to talk over anyone who has D.I.D. And there's a lot of people who have D.I.D., a lot of systems, which is the term for all of the people living in one body, like all of the different personalities and alters, they are a system. There's a lot of YouTubers who've made videos like Team Pinata and Dissociated and D.I.D. and Me. I know Fragmented Psyche made a video about it. I don't know if Entropy System made a video about it, but they're a great system to follow. I'll link them all in the description, but I don't want to talk over anyone. But I think it's important that people learn about the world around them. Because why the fuck would you not want to learn how to help people and learn how to not hurt people and learn what's important? Because yeah, this shit ain't necessarily common, because praise the Lord, trauma isn't common, but it affects 1 to 2% of the population. That is the same amount of people who have red hair. I've met 3... There's beeping outside my window. I've met at least 1, 2, 3, 4 people, 5 people in my life who have D.I.D. I've met 2 or 3 people with red hair. I live in a small town. I live in a very, very small town. 5 people with D.I.D. 4 of them I know personally. No child should have to go through trauma. No one should go through trauma. No child should have to go through enough trauma to where their brain has to section itself off in order to survive. No one should have to go through that shit. No one should have to have PTSD or CPTSD or D.I.D. or OSDD. This isn't something that should have to happen in order for people to survive. But it happens. And that fucking means that we have to step up and protect people and help people and educate people. Because it's not fucking right that a community of people who were abused, that a community of people who are so vulnerable on the internet, with bearing their soul and opening up, are being attacked because one person is uneducated. Because one person decided to make up her own definitions to words and not talk about the actual facts. In Trisha Paytas' video, she presented a series of information and facts to us that are incorrect. And then she screamed and yelled at a camera that other people were calling her out, because just because you have D.I.D. doesn't mean you know everything about it. Yeah, Trish, clearly you don't know anything about D.I.D. Dissociated, who Trish attacked in her video, has a purely educational channel. They reference the DSM-5. DSM-4 and 5 both declare it as dissociative identity disorder, which is the same thing as multiple personality disorder. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter what you heard or what you think. The DSM-5, a medical book about mental illness and mental health, is what we currently understand as fact. It is important for people to educate themselves. It is so important for people to educate themselves. I'm not saying you have to know every single little thing about every single mental illness or everything in the world, but you should be open to learning. Because you share a world with so many people. You share a life. You share living spaces with so many people. You should be open to learning. You should be accepting, because these people have lives. They just want to live their life. I don't know what is going on outside of my house. The reason I'm not stopping for all the barking is because I just need to get this video out there. Anthony Padilla released a very good video where he sat down with people with dissociative identity disorder, and I think you should watch it. I will link it. It is very educational. It's important to be educated on things. It's important to be educated on mental illness and mental health, because you never know who you're going to meet, and if they trust you, they might tell you that they have D.I.D. And that's telling you that they went through some tough shit as a child. And I don't think you want to tell someone who was traumatized as a child that they're faking, or that they're crazy, or that they need to get over it, or that they sound like a bad movie plot. How much would that fucking hurt? Because it hurts. I've seen it hurt people. Don't approach things you don't understand with ignorance and anger and defense. Approach things you don't understand with respect. Because you don't know. Clearly, if you don't understand something, you don't know. So why would you want to approach that with anger as if you're in the right and it's attacking you? Let people explain things to you, research things, learn about stuff so you don't come off as an ignorant asshole. D.I.D. is important to me. Mental illness and mental health in general is important to me. Advocating for people who are discriminated against and stigmatized is important to me. Being a voice is important to me, because I don't want people to feel helpless or ignored or like they don't matter and aren't real. 'Cause I know what that fucking feels like. It sucks. It sucks so bad. I hope I've been somewhat coherent in this video and that I've made somewhat sense, and if you have any more questions, ask them in the comments. Go to the resources that are going to be in the description. Educate yourself, because it's important to know things. Thanks for listening to me talk.